I'd like to call to order the October 16th school committee meeting. I'd like to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence. Thank you. Be seated. The listing of matters on the agenda are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed, in fact, to be discussed, and other items not listed also may be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. This meeting is being videotaped for cable. We would like to introduce Hannah Flynn, be the student rep tonight for the school committee. Welcome.
Thank you for coming.
I'd like to make a motion for the approval of minutes from the September 18, 2017 school committee.
Moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Superintendent's update.
The first thing, I'm behind on the screen, sorry. A little slow. I had sent out to people in the community about the Department of Ed Community Forum on K-12 education. It was really kind of a victory tour originally by the DESE, by the commissioner, to go around different parts of the state and open it up to the community and parents and superintendents and anyone in the school community to ask questions of the DESE, of the commissioner, but it was also to talk about the achievements that the K-12 education has had as we go into the 25th anniversary year of ed reform in Massachusetts. So the first thing that he did was he highlighted all the achievements that have made Massachusetts public schools the leader in the nation. And it's not just about test scores and stuff, but many other things. So we went over basic information of that. And then he did spend about an hour opening up to questions on different things. But one of the, I think, more timely things that he talked about was the release of the MCAS scores that were released today, actually. I mean, we've had the raw scores since the summer, but they put the scale scores out today. And one of the things about that is that it's a new test. As you know, 3 years ago, we went from what they call the legacy MCAS, which was the MCAS that we had for about 20 years, to the PARC exam, which was a consortium of a number of states that had the same exam. We did that for 2 years. Then Massachusetts decided that they were better off if they had their own exam, but the legacy MCAS exam was too old and outdated, so they came up with a new one, which they call the Next Gen MCAS. We implemented that, or gave that last year in the spring, to grades 3 through 8. Grade 10 still has the old one for a few more years, but grades 3 through 8 took the new one, both in math and ELA. Not only is the assessment new, but it's based on new standards that came out, and they scaled it differently. It's much more rigorous, and they set the bar a lot higher than the old MCAS or the PARC exam. So we actually didn't know how they were going to scale the scores. They never talked to us about it, but this was the first time we heard about it last week at this community forum, and then the next day we were asked as superintendents to be on a conference call with the commissioner and other people from the DESE, and they told us about how they're changing the scoring and the scaled scores and raising the bar on the MCAS that's coming out this week. So we received the scale scores today. They'll go out to the public tomorrow, and then the following week they'll be sent home to parents. We'll get the parent copies of the MCAS. One of the concerns is that with a change in exam that's more rigorous, with higher standards, and a bar set higher, what's that going to look like with scores? And the scores are across the state going to be lower, or fewer students are going to be in the top 2 tiers, which used to be called proficient and advanced, than before, because they raised the bar higher. They're telling us, do not compare this year's scores, your son or daughter's score this year, to last year or the year before, or even the legacy exam that was before. They can't be compared. It's a whole different tool with a whole different bar setting for the scoring. So it's like going back to 1998 when we first had our first thing and we looked at it. A lot of kids were in needs improvement and warning, and not as many in proficient advanced, but over time, when we got used to the expectations and the rigor of the exam and the frameworks, scores go up. So they're really basically raising the bar for us, and we have to jump a little higher in order to get that bar. It's all new for us. One of the questions that was asked at the community forum by another superintendent was, are you going to help us get the word out to parents? Because if we didn't even know that this was happening, how does the community at large know that, oh, last year, the last 3 years, my kid was in advanced and now they're in a lower? I don't get that. Is the school doing something wrong? Are they not teaching what he's supposed to learn, what happened, and all that stuff? And they said, we'll do the best we can, we'll talk to the newspapers, but really you're the people that have to get the word out there to parents. I think he got a lot of feedback on that with that evening and also the conference call, because then Friday evening he sent a letter to all of us that he would like for us to send out to the parents that accompanies the scores. I'll also put this letter that he sent on the website and stuff, but it's really kind of our job to make sure that people don't freak out about the fact that you could be in advance for 3 years and now you're in a category that was needs improvement, or called partially meeting the standards. So not only, we used to have warning, needs improvement, proficient and advanced. They're changing the wording to not meeting expectations, partially meeting expectations, and exceeding expectations. So it's still 4 categories. They're a little different. So you can see how someone that had a child that was in advanced or proficient, if they're all of a sudden in some subject partially meeting expectations, like, well, what the heck's going on here? So we can't emphasize enough that you can't compare apples with oranges, because it's a completely different test. We also want to remind people that this is one data point. Schools do so many more things. There's so many different subjects. This is just one standardized test in ELA and math on brand new standards with a brand new scoring mechanism. So it shouldn't be looked upon that that's what's the only thing that we should be looking at students. We here in West Bridgewater pride ourselves on teaching the whole child. I think we're very fortunate that when, the last 4 or 5 years ago, when we were still going through the Great Recession, unlike other schools, we didn't cut music, we didn't cut art, we didn't cut any of those subjects, because we feel it's important to educate all kids and educate the whole child. So to grade a school system on just one data point of a standardized test, you can't look at it that way. It does a disservice to your whole system. It does a disservice to the kids. So although we've worked so hard, we started in '98, scores were low, we worked really hard, we aligned frameworks, we did all this stuff everywhere across the state and worked so hard for it. This is now something totally new. We really kind of have to start over. But it does not mean that kids are learning less, that kids went backwards. It just means that you learn this, but now we're reaching higher. Think about it, being a former track coach, is you finally got up to a certain height in the high jump and you were doing it and it was really easy, and then it's like, oh, now it's time to go up. You miss it the first couple times, but then you get it down and you get over it and you keep going, and that's really what they did. That's really what they did here.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
How does that affect the Abigail Adams relationship with the scholarships?
Good question. This new test right now and the change in scoring is just for grades 3 through 8. The grade 10 high-stakes test was still the same this year, and it will be this coming year. The current 9th graders will take the new next-gen 10th grade MCAS. However, it won't be until the current 7th graders when they change the scoring scale. They want to get the new test in, because it's a high-stakes exam for 10th grade, they want to get the exam in, see how it goes before and then give it a couple years before they scale it and do that. Because, so it's, you know, the 3 through 8 doesn't affect whether or not you're going to graduate, doesn't affect even if you're going to move to the next grade or anything. It's just informational to see how your students doing, what are their strengths, what are the weaknesses, and then on the other side, how's the school doing, do we need to change things? But 10th grade, you know, if you don't pass that, you don't get your diploma, so they need to take a little bit more time in order to vet that out and see how it works. So the change in scoring right now, they're saying, won't be until the current 7th grade class. So the Abigail Adams would, or the Adams Scholarship would stay in effect on the same scoring probably through there, and then they'll figure it out from there. So they haven't talked about that, but I would say at least the next 3 or 4 years it will probably be the same as it is now.
Great, thank you.
So we will send out this letter so that parents understand it. I guess we'll just need help if people talk to you about, oh my God, what's the school doing? My kid went down, and they really didn't. We talked about it this morning in our meeting with the administrators, that we are doing a lot in the public schools in Massachusetts. We are still, we're number one. One of the things the acting commissioner said was, we are number one in the nation, but it doesn't mean that you can just stay there and rest on your laurels. Other people are catching up, so we need to raise the bar. We need to keep moving. And although sometimes it feels frustrating because you feel like, oh, we just got to this point, and believe me, it's hard for me to look at scores and say, oh, that's so much lower than we had before. But he stressed, do not compare it to past tests. This is a new thing that we're doing. So that was really, I think, probably the biggest news that I got out of it. And none of us really saw it coming, that it was going to change so much. So basically, they said that they set the bar kind of, they'll find about 50% of the kids meets expectations and higher right now, based on what they think they should be meeting, which is a big difference, because we were up near 70 or 80% in most of the things, but they changed that. So I wouldn't put too much emphasis on it as a parent right now, because it's our job now to look and say, okay, well, let's see how these individual kids are doing, let's see how we're doing, and how can we get everyone up over that bar. Does that make sense?
It does.
A couple of the other initiatives that they're working on is they are looking at revamping the funding formula that has been the same since 1993. That still, and you know, it's still inequitable in some cases, but it was really inequitable before 1993. Can it ever be completely equitable? I don't know, which is probably why it's been like that for 25 years and someone still can't figure it out. But they're going to be working more regularly on the funding formula. They're looking to promote more career pathways in schools and not just in vocational schools. They're really emphasizing the ELL education in schools, because they've upped the standards in ELLs, and we're getting so many more English language learners in our schools. And then, of course, the next-gen MCAS and going and looking at that. So that's where we are. And you'll be hearing a lot, I guess, from the state in the next year because they're going to do a 25th anniversary, we're leading the nation since ed reform type rah-rah parade around, around the state. So that's the update.
Thank you.
And next is superintendent's goals. Narrowed my goals down to 3 goals this year, and actually, 2 of them are going to be 2-year goals because they really are far-reaching, and it's kind of hard sometimes in certain things to get things done just over a 1-year period. Instead of reinventing the wheel, I looked at our targeted program review that we had last year by the Department of Ed, and we had 3 to 5 major recommendations. Some of them kind of combined together, so I took them and I made it into my 3 goals. So the first one, which also every administrator, the principals have the same thing because we're doing it as a district-wide initiative, is during the 17-18, 18-19 school years, we'll lead staff towards a district-wide philosophical change from whole class fixed mindset teaching practices to differentiated growth mindset practices as measured by observational walkthrough data and teacher self-assessment. So we really want to see more differentiated instruction in the classrooms that we go through, and that was one of the things that came out on the targeted review, and we'll be able to tell that, you know, if teachers self-assess themselves now where they are, and then in 2 years look at it again, we can see the changes. But also, we do walkthroughs all the time in the classrooms and record different things, and one of our things is about differentiated instruction, so that's something that we're going to work on, and we'll do a lot of professional development to help teachers understand differentiated instruction. The second one is to work with and monitor the skills and practices of administrators to ensure that we're providing all staff with high-quality feedback that's instructive, evidence-based, actionable, and capable of promoting individual growth and overall effectiveness. So we've already started working on that a little bit, using more specific information in our walkthrough template, and also using a rubric that we didn't have before. Instead of just writing observed and not observed with certain things, now we actually have a rubric that we see evidence, we see a lot of evidence, we see, you know, minimal evidence or something, and it's specific. So now teachers can look at that and say, oh, this is what they're talking about when they want to see what they mean about all students are engaged, or they see engagement in the classroom. That will also help administrators be more specific in the feedback that they give. And the last thing was about the curriculum and other written documents, but during the 17-18 to 18-19, I'll develop and implement a plan to restructure written curriculum documents to include sufficient detail and items to meet the needs of all learners. As I had said before, a lot of our older curriculum documents had information in them, for example, in the assessment, but it was too generic. Assessment was like end of unit test, formative assessments, but they didn't give specifics or links to specific, and we need to be more specific. The same thing with the instructional strategies. What are you specifically doing to meet the needs of all learners and to put in the Tier 1 interventions in the class for all kids versus just teacher does this one thing, you know, so we need to be more specific and make sure we're meeting the needs of all learners. So those are my 3. Questions, comments?
Very focused goals. Thank you.
You're welcome.
On to business. The Massachusetts Association of School Committees, we need to elect a delegate. In order for our school committee to have a vote at the business meeting of the Massachusetts School Committees, it is necessary that an official delegate be designated in pursuance to Article 9, Section 6 of the bylaws. So we'd like to take a motion to nominate someone for a voting delegate and also an alternate.
I would like to be nominated as the voting delegate at this year's MASC conference.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then we would need an alternate as well.
I nominate myself as the alternate.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion moved, accepted. Okay.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
And is there also that information?
It's tomorrow night.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
tomorrow night. I won't be able
Have
to
you read
make
it?
that. No, I think there's
Have you read it, Donna?
I
6
glanced
resolutions.
at it, but I need to look at them in more detail
Yeah.
tonight. I can go tomorrow.
November 1st, the actual meeting, voting.
Yeah. So maybe what I can do is.
But the information night's
get an
tomorrow night at
email
the
out.
At the Charlie House? I mean, at the
Yeah.
barracks?
Yeah.
No,
No,
it's at the
tavern.
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 Oh, the tavern this time.
That's a tavern?
It's at the tavern. It was last year, too.
Yeah, last couple of years.
Oh, that's right, it was,
Yeah.
yeah. I remember.
Maybe I can try to get an email out and just kind of summarize what the resolutions are before the vote, and I'll kind of
Take
just
a hard
get your
look at the
input.
first one.
What?
I already read the first one.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, I actually spoke with Dr. Oakley about it. I wasn't too sure exactly where they were going with it. but
Okay,
Take a look at the first one.
okay.
I think there's like 7?
Six,
I think there's 6 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have specific questions, I mean, I can bring them up tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'll look at it again and either shoot you a quick text or email or something.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a lot of extra work. Also, we would like to, the committee has talked about having a liaison to Inclusion Matters, and we'd like to ask for a motion to nominate someone.
I'd like to move and nominate Donna Hume for the position of being the liaison to the Inclusion Matters.
Second?
Moved and second. Any questions?
Happy to do it.
Thank you, Donna.
Assignment of policies, policy 1200, policy manual bylaws. This is something that we'll probably be looking at in depth into the future with us adapting the policy of going to the state and having them. So I'll take it on and just look it over, and then as we move forward with it, we'll see where it takes us as far as what the state's going to do with our policies and how we're going to move forward with it all. Approval of policies, Policy 101, School Committee Calendar. This was something brought up by the chairperson, Molly Smith, with regards to making our calendar always starting school before Labor Day. I think this committee is 100% in agreement with making that move. I don't think there was really any questions. I believe Dr. Oakley spoke with some of the leaders of the teachers, and some of the comments came back was that the students seem much more energized at the beginning of the school year as far as being at the end of the school year, with the way the weather's been lately, and some school systems not getting out until almost the end of June. I think it benefits us to make this an automatic policy every year to start. Everybody's going to know. They're not going to have to worry about the calendar of when did Labor Day fall. Is it this year? Is it before? Is it after? So I think this would be a good way for us to go. Is there any other discussion? Does anybody have any comments?
I think it's a great idea that we go, before Labor Day, because the kids will get, all that energy out of their system, and they get to kind of settle in a little bit. When they come back after Labor Day, they can just hit the road running. And you guys are the ones that have to deal with them, so I'm sure you'd much rather come back after Labor Day tired from the weekend, not tired and full of energy and running around and have another week of a little bit of hectic, so to speak. I mean, you guys are the ones that have to tell us what you think.
I think we were in favor of it when we talking today for those reasons, because at the end of June,
Nobody wants to be here on the 20th of June. Let's be honest. I don't have a dog in this fight, but I don't want anybody here for you guys' sake after June 20th either. So,
Good. All right, we'll take a motion to permanently move the start of the school year to before Labor Day.
so moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Warrants, we have no warrants. The public forum, members of the audience wishing to address the committee may do at this time. Audience members are reminded that personnel issues that would invoke student confidentiality cannot be addressed during the public forum. I believe Hannah Flynn would like to address the committee regarding the Powder Puff game that was going to happen on November 9th, is it?
Yeah. So a couple of the senior class members were trying to find a way to fundraise to kind of go to Disney, because I know it's very expensive and a lot of people just can't have $11,000. So we proposed to have a powder puff. I know it's going to be November 9th under the lights at 6:30 on the high school turf, and it's going to be grades 9 through 12. So each grade will have their own individual team, and they'll play each other tournament style. So the winners of each game will play each other in the final round. So we were hoping that all of the funds for that would go to the Disney trip, but sadly we found out today that the Disney trip's been canceled. But we are gonna put all of the funds that we make towards the senior scholarships, so it's still benefiting the seniors and everything. But so we've started a couple weeks ago. We approached Mr. Bodwell and Ms. Page about getting it approved, and they approved it. So we started advertising, and we filmed a promo that we viewed during the morning announcements. And we started sign-ups last week. It's going to be $20 for girls to play, as in classic Powder Puff style, where girls play and the boys are cheerleaders. So it's going to be $20, and that includes a long sleeve shirt for them to wear, and it's going to be by grade colors, so people can show their spirit and show what grade they're in and what grade they're supporting. So it's going to be $20 for the girls and $15 for the boys to cheer, and that's just kind of including a long sleeve shirt for them. So we went around and did sign-ups, and we had over 100 girls sign up and over 40 boys sign up, which is quite surprising because a lot of the boys we weren't too sure about. So that's sign-ups. We're still so this week we started collecting money, and all of our money has to be collected by this Friday in order to get our shirts in. But we started advertising around the town because we want it to be a town event, and we're hoping that Powder Puff will kind of be a tradition in West Bridgewater, not just after we leave, because most towns do a Powder Puff. We're pretty much one of the only schools around here that doesn't. So we're hoping that the other grades will kind of carry on the tradition. We feel like if we get the town involved, it will kind of allow that tradition to carry. So we've decided that tomorrow, I think, we're going to go around at the youth football, and we're going to be handing out flyers, and we've decided that any youth football players who come to the game in their jersey will get in for free, and we want to do an activity with them at halftime, so either a tug of war or some type of game just to get them involved, because one day they will be at the high school, and we want them to kind of be thinking about that one day. I want to be a part of that. And so we're coming up with kind of a coveted either ball or trophy or something that people want to win and stuff, and be a sense of pride. And the boys have agreed to perform a halftime show, so we're excited about that. And we're going to be
Which will be previewed before they do it, correct?
yeah.
Why? Make it interesting. Let them go for it.
Yeah.
And we've already started kind of collecting items like pom-poms and megaphones and stuff, and the boys seem pretty excited about it, which we were pretty nervous about, not knowing how they're kind of take it. And we're planning on having practices, probably 3 in advance, just so when we get out there everybody knows what they're doing, what their place is, so it's not a free-for-all out there. So it's going to be $5 for adults to come to the game and $3 for students. And we have already got people saying they want to donate food for us to sell in the snack bar, people who want to run raffles, people who want to do halftime games. So we have a bunch of other parents and students coming up and kind of showing interest and wanting to help, because there's a lot of things that we could do, but we don't want to kind of stretch out too much and not make it successful. So mainly we're focusing on the game and the cheerleading, but as of right now we're looking pretty good on numbers, and we're going to be collecting. So
And you said it's November 9th?
November 9th.
Hannah, not for nothing, did you contact the boosters?
I talked to one of the boosters already, and she said that she had some contacts in town that she was going to be contacting and stuff, and she was going to try and get us to see if local businesses would donate pizza and stuff. And then also we already have we have a business that has tentatively said that they would like to donate like $100 towards it. So like we're kind of going to start contacting local businesses. We're just making sure we have all the sign-ups done this week so we can start doing that next week. And we're hoping to like go to Market Basket and buy like waters and stuff to turn over a profit in that way and stuff. And also, it's on a Thursday night, but we don't have school the next day because it's the Veterans Day holiday, so it's kind of like a Friday night.
That's neat.
So what was the format again? So how long are the games? So you'll take like, will you have more than one like freshman team and they'll play each other and then it?
No, so we want to have just like one team per grade because we don't want it to be too long. We don't want people getting bored. So we're thinking like either like the freshmen and like because at our like pep rallies we do freshman versus senior and sophomore versus junior. So we're hoping to keep it that style. So like the freshmen and the seniors would play like first. Say for like we do either like I think we want to do like 2 8-minute halves or something just to keep it short because we don't want it to be too long.
Yeah.
And then do the next team, the sophomores and the juniors play, and then do like a halftime, kind of like games and stuff in between, and then have the 2 winners play each other for the like coveted title.
It's fun.
And not that this would happen, but what happens if it's inclement weather?
Yeah, we were thinking
football.
about having completely figured that out.
It's football,
All right, it's for any weather.
right? It's football and we have artificial
Out
turf.
there in the rain, but I don't know.
You're going to use Nerf balls, right?
so
Nerf
it'll-
footballs?
I'm not 100% sure. We were going to try and talk to the football team because it's going to be flag football, obviously, because we're not
Yeah.
going to have tackling out there. So we have to figure out. Right now, our main focus is making sure everyone signs up, gets their money in, because like we're going around every day at Power Block. We're rolling things during the morning announcements and just trying to push it so people know. Because I keep going up to people and like, did you bring in your money? They're like, oh, when is it due? I'm like,
Now you know how we feel.
Yeah, and I also started like
Did you bring your
posting
money?
it to like the parents in West Bridgewater and stuff. We made an event page and posted it to the West Bridgewater Hub, I think it was, so that we can also get parents involved too. And we put it up there too if parents want to buy shirts. I know my parents are going to be buying shirts to support me.
For the whole family.
Yeah, so they can parents can also buy shirts to support their kids, and we put that out there too.
Well,
You're putting a lot into
you
it.
can
That's
bring
great.
shirts.
It is really
You can
cool.
bring shirts to my house for Mrs. Holden and I. Make Mrs. Holden pay, though.
So who else is on your committee that's,
So me and Brianna Roll are like the kind of like co-chairs of it. Mr. C is our like teacher person within liaison within the school, and then we already have like pretty much every senior girl signed up to play, and like everybody's super excited, and people are like, oh, like I can do this for you, I can do that for you. So like we kind of have a bunch of like different people kind of running everything, but me and Brianna are kind of heading it and seeing over everything.
so you're going to have like kids that's not like, so you have coaches?
Yeah, so
Two?
Within the over 40 boys that signed up and still counting, we have 2 boys who are on the like football team. The boys were fighting for this position to be the coaches, so we assigned 2 boys from each grade to be the coaches
That's awesome.
because they know the rules and stuff essentially, and they were like super excited. They were all fighting over it.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's going to be fun.
It does.
Yeah.
Not for nothing, Mr. Bardwell. I think you should get involved. As one of the cheerleaders.
Oh, yeah, we've seen him in a skirt before.
Pretty hairy legs, are they?
Mr. Bardwell's not afraid to do what needs to be done.
He's the boss here, so, you know.
These girls have been awesome, though. Really.
Yeah, that's cool.
Great idea.
Yeah. It would be nice, and if it goes really well, it will be nice to make it a tradition because it's fun to do those things.
Yeah.
Well, let's just cross our fingers for good weather.
Exactly.
Good luck.
Awesome.
Sounds
Thank
like
you.
a lot of fun.
All right. District-wide. District-wide, at October 24th, the PTO meeting in the library at 7 p.m. On October 25th, the half-day and service day for pre-K through grade 12. November 6th, Inclusion Matters at the Middle Senior High School Learning Commons from 6 to 7:30. November 10th, no school. Well, we should probably put in there November 9th, the Powder Puff game at the turf field.
Yes.
The Middle Senior High School on October 17th, WPI Math Meet. October 28th is the Homecoming Dance, grades 9 through 12, 7 through 10. p.m. November 12th, the Lions Club Craft Fair. At the Howard School, October 17th, Reading is Fundamental at 12:45. October 19th, 5th grade trip to Sturbridge Village. October 20th, 4th grade MOS Weather, PTO sponsored. November 1st is the Pride Assembly. November 8th, 5th grade Native American Perspectives, PTO sponsored. The Roselle McDonald School on October 17th, Reading is Fundamental. October 18th, grades 1 and 2, Bubbleology, PTO sponsored. October 27th, grade 3 field trip to Plymouth Plantation. And at the Spring Street School on October 16th, Wardsbury Farm in Sharon for the kindergartners, 9:30 through 1:30. October 17th, Reading is Fundamental distribution. October 23rd, bus evacuation. October 25th, kindergarten Halloween parade, 10 to 10:30. October 26th and 27th, pre-K Halloween parties. And November 3rd, tide pool for the kindergarten, PTO sponsored. And our next school committee meeting will be Monday, November 13th at 6:30 here in the high school Learning Commons. I'll take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Listen, he's a working boy, he can pay himself. I'm gonna get t-shirts for the whole fam. I think that's awesome.